This is how it's thrown out. It spins like this. I don't throw it out like this. By throwing it out like this when you chop downwards, you can also create a spin. However, in the first move, the ball moves forward. Hitting flat can make the ball spin. See? Using the same friction method. When I hit the ball downward, it moves forward. When I pause before hitting, the ball moves backward. Despite hitting downward and the ball coming back, the spin is still insufficient. While many players argue that backspin is not effective when the ball has underspin, it actually has one advantage. The impact won't be very strong. After hitting the ball and stepping back, it's not conducive to twisting and pulling movements. However, if the ball moves forward, it will be easier to generate spin and control. It's logical to meet the ball directly. It's easier to induce errors from the opponent with the ball spinning downwards. Depending on shots that move forward makes it easier for the opponent to respond with lower quality shots. Therefore, if the opponent has difficulty handling backspin, I can apply more spin. Spin the ball. Whether it's a forehand or backhand, learning backspin from me. My coach for forehand serves was highly skilled. The serve is crucial. Therefore, my expertise in underspin serves is quite profound. What is the key factor in underspin serves? Many players have a common misconception when serving. It's about the reasons for mistakes during serving, isn't it? If your initial step is incorrect, you will make a serving mistake. My initial step should start from the baseline. I rushed forward and made a chop shot here. Then he definitely placed a net. He wasn't paying attention. The ball hadn't even reached its peak and was intercepted by the net. Right? So the initial movement for a long shot is towards the baseline. Moreover, power can be generated from the arm. The same applies to short balls. The power is too weak. Going too far forward in a moment. The power is too strong. This intensity. Isn't this all about the feeling? Exactly. Guys, we need to master it to feel it. This level of intensity is extremely important. It's all about controlling my initial movement with intensity. When serving near the net or from a mid-table position, I tend to serve short. Every single ball your serve-receive rate will improve significantly. If you can't position yourself well on the first step like right now, you will hit the net. Having a good feel is crucial. You can't ignore it. If you overlook it when you serve, your hand will tremble during the match. And you will feel nervous. Yes, if you can't get your first step right, you will make mistakes. It's not the movement that's causing the mistake, but rather the excessive or insufficient force. This will result in mistakes. Do you understand? To feel and master the precision of the initial jump, which will improve our success rate. Secondly, teacher XiaoHan explained it very well. Thank you all. Let's try practicing this underspin serve. This is a critical fundamental element of generating spin. Secondly, for all types of serves, once I've determined the correct position for the initial jump, I begin to focus on generating friction and rotation. What contributes to creating friction? For instance, without finger and wrist movements, pushing forward won't generate spin, right? You see. By incorporating finger and wrist movements into the same motion, it turns into underspin. Underspin, don't hit it forward initially, underspin. top spin, top rotation, then it won't spin.
转吗？
A ball without spin will surely land eventually. Then, underspin, it bounces back underspin.
往回跳了，下旋。
Exactly, it's during this ball contact.
球这一下，不管咱们是直板还是横板，我们在触球这一下，
The friction between the fingers and wrist is crucial. It is crucial for attacking the baseline.
这就是功底。
At the moment of contact with the ball, the wrist must be fully relaxed.
它得充分的放松它。
You see, if I don't relax, just look at my wrist. How can the ball grip if I don't rotate like this?
可能摩擦住呢，
If the wrist is kept at a certain angle pushing forward, this is top
这
spin.
就是上旋。
Pushing forward at this angle is also known as a no-spin ball. The racket must make the ball spin in order to grip it.
转动起来的球才能摩擦住球。
Watch the racket spin for backspin, side spin.
侧旋球这么转，
Right side spin, like this, correct.
是不是？
What are all its movements supposed to be? The wrist needs to rotate to make the ball spin.
这个球才能产生旋转。
Therefore, for someone who holds a racket tightly,
紧的人，他
he doesn't know how to hit many balls or its spin when looping, let alone serving.
打球他也不会加摩擦。你看他挺有劲儿打球，但是一加旋转他就懵了。
Such as top spin, side spin, and serving.
发球，
When he faces spin, he encounters problems. Therefore, with a bit of friction, he starts rotating first.
动起来，你看
Why is it better for him to serve with a straight racket?
比较好，因为
Because with a straight racket grip, he pinches a tiger's mouth. Therefore, based on this rotation, the wrist of a straight racket is more flexible than ours.
但是我们横板不是，
Therefore, when using the pen hold grip,
发的时候，你
when using the pen hold grip, you cannot hold the racket in the same way as when playing table tennis conventionally. You need to imitate the pen hold grip.
是我们把这几个手指蜷起来，就是来增加
The flexibility and explosiveness of the wrist.
握拍儿，这么别扭也得这么握，啊，
Enhancing the flexibility of the wrist. This point is crucial.
啊，
Use less force and a smaller movement for short balls.
动作小一点，看，
Engage the forearm for long balls, applying the same principle of
一
friction.
样的。
To execute a short ball, the arm controls the movement, utilizing the fingers and wrist. To play a long ball, additional arm strength is required.
加上臂的力量，用上大臂和前臂，再加手指手腕，这就是长球。
The friction technique for both types of shots remains the same. The friction technique for both types of shots remains completely unchanged.
都是触球这一下，由我们的手指手腕带动我们的拍面去触球。你看，
When slowed down, it appears like this.
是这样的。
The contact point is here, then the ball is struck, creating a series of frictional impacts before coming to a stop.
点在这儿，摩擦摩擦摩擦摩擦，停。啊，
With another ball in play,
这时候为什么
why do I sense that despite using fingers and wrist, the shot remains inaccurate?
是不短，
Why? Because you're too slow.
太慢了，
Slow rotation is equivalent to no rotation. Look accurate.
转了，
Inaccurate, accurate, somewhat precise, accurate, very accurate, not enough acceleration.
有点转，转了，非常转，加速不够。
Friction is not enough.
啊，
Acceleration without friction is equivalent to no friction.
摩擦呀，
We've been talking about this issue.
听说过是不是？
In the full course, directly contact the course assistant. He will teach you how to watch the course. You lack sufficient acceleration.
这是第一点，第二点就是说，我用了手指手腕，我咋还发不短呢？
I just said, because you are hitting long balls, you should use your arm.
手臂，你发短球同样用手臂，你肯定发不短呢。
If you don't control the power well, 20% of the time, it will end up as a long ball, and another 20% as a half long ball. You need to control both aspects well.
像我放这么大动作，我触球的时候还能发出短球来。
Typically, with good touch and practice, one can achieve this level. However, it's quite challenging for beginners.
难啊，
Then I can control my upper arm and forearm well, just at a bit of pressure. I rely on the strength of my fingers and wrist for serving. Even if he jumps, his strength is limited due to his small build. Right? Even if he jumps, it's still just a half long ball. Your arm will deliver power for you. Just swing it, correct? When the power is transferred from the arm and combined with the fingers and wrist, the strength increases significantly, to put it simply. Improving the backhand is excellent. Secondly, the serve is not short, which is a significant factor. Therefore, is the serve truly important? I believe that serving and receiving serves during a match, whether in doubles or singles, this should be the most crucial aspect in all technical systems. What is the second point? Any player with compact and explosive movements? For instance, his serve is like this. Extremely explosive, his pushes will definitely be like this, as well as this. He cannot serve. Then, with his pushes, he always complements them. He just hasn't discovered it yet. Some players have not found the sensation. The sensation of acceleration force, therefore, many techniques are universal. Your serves will also be consistent, pushes will also be consistent, loops will also be consistent. I said you can't use getting it over as a standard to determine if your serve is good or not. Can you chop it, get on stage easily, find the right first jump? Control the power well. We don't have speed, that's the core. The third thing, the first is firm, the second is steady, the third is no hesitation. What does this mean? For example, a hook serve, it was originally good, but when you lean forward, the speed decreases. Everyone will surely say you serve quite well. The speed decreases. Everyone will surely say you serve quite well. Can you stop? Excellent. Stop. Excellent. Stop. Right? The final breaking is crucial. For example, when the opponent hits a fastball, I need to position myself here. When we are in a face-off, I need to stand here.
大家好，我是小韩老师。下面呢，我们来说一下专属课堂怎么看直播。大家别着急啊。首先呢，我们肯定是加了小韩